Okay, it looks like we are live. Good evening, everyone, or afternoon, or morning, wherever you are. I see there's quite a few of you here already. Alan Zippelman, Cleo La Area. Who else have we got? Music Lover Forever. Today we're gonna talk about loads of stuff. The title for the live stream is Hyperinflation Will Help Eradicate the Keynesian Disease. And yeah, I actually think it could, even though it doesn't look like it right now. It looks like the powers that be have a firm grip on everything, but I'm not convinced. I think they are underestimating the inflation. Most of them think that inflation is going to drop back magically, and I don't think that's true. But before we start looking into that, just I'm early as usual, but I'll say hello to everyone. So we've got Ralph Potts, Sehan is here, Dave L, Tim Goodson, David Atkins. Hi, David from New Mexico. Paul Weens from Southern Manitoba. Scoobyism 3. Silver Beast. Hi, Silver Beast. Scoobyism 3. I played golf today. Didn't play very well today. That's how it goes. I played well last week, not this week. It wasn't very nice today. It was raining most of the morning. But anyway, went out for a nice lunch with my wife afterwards. Nice steak. Tris Magistus, hi Tris. Pino Kunchner from Deutschland. Wie geht's, Pino? Music lover, Sean Cavell. Major crash is coming. Keynes wouldn't even like this nonsense. Yeah, Keynesianism has been abused. But yeah, who knows? I think his idea of government helping, smooth out business cycles was a really bad idea because it put the world, it was the first step. It wasn't big at the time in the 30s, but it's ballooned and it's become a disease, in my opinion. And unfortunately, the majority of the public don't even know about Keynesianism, but they're living with big governments. And we're going to have a look at some numbers as well. Bruno Silva, hi Bruno Silva, Cozy Fantute, good evening, Mara. Never have I been so convinced as now that AU and AG are essentials. I agree with you. And yeah, what's going on in the markets? The fiat price is just, I think it's, I don't want to say a distraction, but if you really believe in the story, if you've done your homework and you know what money is, the monetary history of the world and fiat currencies, why would you want to exchange your gold and silver right now for fiat currencies when we've got interest rates below 1 in the US and the UK, below 0 in Europe, and we've got prices rising at double digits, I would say. It's crazy. We just need to, yeah, sometimes things happen and it tests your belief in the story, in the yeah, it's normal. We wouldn't be human if we didn't have doubts, and that's not a bad thing. But I agree with you anyway. Mark Sneed, hi Mark. Tom Janicki from North Carolina. Let's talk food commodities. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about shortages, and I think it's gonna, or not shortages, but also rising prices. Over here, it's not too bad yet, but I think it's going to get worse Echo Echoes here, Mark the Silver Shark. There's a good website called Harry's Farm. Not website, sorry, YouTube channel, Harry's Farm. He's in, where is it again? I forgot. He's in England, but I forgot the name of the, it's a beautiful area of England, like Western England. And he's he's a wheat farmer, and he's really interesting to listen to. Music Lover says, since Christmas, my local fish and chip shop has gone from $6.80 to $11.75 for cotton chips. Yeah, that's a big increase. I don't really eat too much fish and chips, but yeah, I remember it being 5 to 6 pounds. Cleo thinks we are in the 1930s. I would say we're more in the early 20s, 1923 Germany, not the 19, well, actually, I think the economic depression is going to be like the 30s, maybe worse, but we're going to have hyperinflation together. In the 30s, there was no hyperinflation because we were under a relatively sound money system, and now we aren't. That's going to shock everyone. We are going to have demand destruction, but commodity prices and everything we need, all the essentials, are going to stay really high. And the Keynesians, again, are going to be shocked, just like they were shocked in the 70s that we had stagflation. We're going to have now hyper stagflation, I would say. Steve Goodwin. Hi, Steve. We got another 4 minutes before the officials start. Silver Wolf, the trouble with manipulation in gold and silver is it's going to hurt credibility of gold and silver in the long haul. They become pointless. Well, I think most people said that in the 60s and early 70s. There was a covert manipulation of the price, the London gold pool in the 60s, and that failed. Eventually, gold went from $35 to almost $900. It's not going to win. You can't really manipulate markets forever. Reality takes hold. And yeah, it's the Cotswolds, Spanish, John. That's right. I highly recommend Harry's Farm. He explains how agriculture works, which is something I'm not really familiar with. Jillian B. Hi, Jillian B. Mr. Nix, soon to be NATO country. Yeah, I saw that Sweden as well is signing up to NATO. What a better way to provoke the Russian bear, right? And I saw that the State Department in the US, they've taken off their website that they don't recognize Taiwan as an independent nation. So again, trying to alienate China. I think the neocons and others are in charge, and they want mayhem in the world. But I don't think we should be, how can I say, scared of anything. Yeah, don't let this get you down, because things, yeah, are going to get tough, I think, especially with a currency collapse. But it will eradicate the Keynesian disease, as my my title of the live stream says, and that's a good thing. A lot of people that have been dependent on welfare state, on the corporate welfare state as well. I want to, emphasize that I'm not just against the welfare state, but I'm also against the corporatist state, and those people are going to suffer. But if you're prepared for it, you should navigate fairly well, I would say. Good evening, Mariam Billy from the Isle of Man. Great. I haven't been to the Isle of Man. I'd like to go. T4 parts. Not Joe King, a small farm I deliver groceries to said they won't have a large enough yield of hay to feed their horses. LGX2, hi LGX2. Rainbird, we were told silver would be unobtainable. Unobtainium. Turns out it may be, I don't know what that means. Well, you can't obtain it at $20 an ounce, that's for sure, or at 17 pounds an ounce. Here in the UK, you're paying at least 24, 25, sometimes 30. So I think it's still early days. I think it will. When the dollar crashes, yeah, there will be, no one will want to get rid of their silver or their gold. Yeah, that's the way I see it. This is not a game of trading, of buying gold and selling it for fiat. And that's why I tell people not to hedge, sorry, not to leverage. It's not a trading game. It's a survival game. It's insurance, monetary insurance. Eventually, of course, when everything unravels after the system collapses, you can put your gold and silver to work if you want in other assets, I would say. So Scooby is $40 silver eagles in New York. Yeah, that's doubled up the spot or paper price. The Great Closet, hi Great Closet. Chill. I went to my local coin shop on Saturday and he was closed. Either he doesn't want to sell when silver spot is low, or he randomly took the day off, the busiest days. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that the dollar is crashing because they see it going up versus the euro or the pound. They look at the dollar index, but the fact that commodities are up like over 20% year to date is a sign that the dollar is crashing. The dollar has to be measured versus real things. Yeah, I know gold and silver have come off of late, but against gold, I think the dollar is just up slightly now. But eventually, that will be the real measuring stick for the dollar. Norm thinks it's going to be like the 70s instead of the 30s. I think it's going to be unlike any decade of economic troubles, because we have for the first time major reserve currency that is a fiat currency, and that will most probably collapse. So it will be a huge event. And I think that's why a lot of countries in the what they call the global south are starting to lean towards Russia and China. Not that they want to go completely with them, but that they want to have an option, because it's not going to be pretty. And I think that's why they're also acquiring gold. Last year, we saw a lot of people, a lot of countries buy gold. Brazil, for one, increased their holdings by 60%. India's been buying a lot as well. Yeah, that's it, Chill. That's what I was talking about. So, Gianfranco Bergagna thinks they control everything. I'm not too sure about that. If they controlled everything, we wouldn't have any troubles. Everything would be fine. I think the big mistake the powers that be are making is that I don't think they understand inflation. They don't really know what it is, and they're expecting it to drop back down, and it won't. Just like they expected it to be transitory, just like Janet Yellen expected unwinding the balance sheet to be like waiting for watching paint dry. They're going to be wrong. Richard Martin, are you joining today's Silver Raid? I haven't heard about the Silver Raid, but I assume that's people buying physical. Maybe I'll buy some next week. I haven't bought some silver lately. Maybe a week or two ago. I have bought an interesting silver coin. It's 5 Swiss francs from 1963. It's still silver, and it's a commemorative one. It's a really interesting coin. There you go. You see, people say that silver isn't money, but most countries are still using it for money. And 5 francs is quite a lot of money. I'll tell you a story, because I went to school in Switzerland when I was 11 or so, 10 to 12. And I was given one of these 5 francs, but it was in the 70s. It wasn't silver anymore. I was given 5 francs when we went out with my friends on a Wednesday into town. And you could do a lot of stuff when you were at, with 5 francs. You could buy sweets, you could go to the cinema. So it was worth a bit. And I suspect in 1963, this was had a lot of spending power too. Echo, why CPI won't come down? Well, because monetary policy is still highly accommodative. We've got CPI running at almost 10%, and interest rates are below 1. So yes, it costs -9%. It costs nothing to borrow. Actually, you're paid to borrow. So if you're getting paid to borrow, people are gonna create more credit. Banks are gonna lend more. People are gonna borrow more because it doesn't cost anything, and they're gonna keep spending. And that's why the only way CPI or prices would drop is if they raise rates to like 12, 15%, but they can't do that. Normal norm, no, it is silver. It's not zinc, but it's a nice coin. Anyway, so why would hyperinflation kill the, destroy the Keynesian disease? And well, the Keynesian disease is the premise that government needs to help the economy whenever there's business depression. Their business, they wanted to stop the business cycle, and government was supposed to go in there and help with deficit spending, and then the economy would pick up. And after the economy picked up, the government could pay off the debt that it incurred to help the economy pick up. But the big fallacy is that government doesn't have any money. It takes it from the private economy. So when the economy is down, why taking capital from the private sector to help the economy doesn't make any sense. And they've stayed at it for the last 50 years. They keep helping, and what that's created, it's created more debt. The deficit spending never stops. We never have balanced budgets or even surpluses, and that has increased the national debt, not just government debt, but public debt, but also private debt. It's increased corporate debt, and there's so much debt in the system that the economy doesn't function anymore. So they keep trying to push this Keynesian deficit spending, and it gets worse and worse. And my hope is that we're in the end game, like Rafi talks about, and these fiat currencies that allow this Keynesianism to take place will collapse, and they'll be helpless. It will be like the Soviet Union collapsing. It will be, people won't know what happened. A lot of people, unfortunately, are going to suffer. And this is one of the reasons why I try to inform the public, and at the same time try to help, maybe if they want to listen, protect themselves and insure themselves with a bit of gold and silver. But gold and silver is not the only thing, of course. It's knowing what's going on as well and not being scared, I think, and try to live your life as well, in a good fashion. I know we're not all perfect, but try to be a good individual and help people and stick to the truth. And with that, I like to show you what I would say is one of the really guiding lights, I would say, for this channel. And this is the let's see here. This is the motto for the Mises Institute, which is in Auburn, Alabama. The Mises Institute, of course, is, I would say, the best educational institution for the Austrian School of Economics, the Mises Institute. So their motto is from Virgil, the Roman poet. And actually, this is I bought this coin a few months ago. It's a silver coin commemorating Virgil, 2,000 years of Virgil's death in 1981. It's a nice Italian silver coin. So it says, "Tuna sedi malis, sed contra audentur ito." My Latin is not very good, I'm sorry. So it means you should not give in to evils, but proceed even more boldly against them. So this is what I try to, this is what I try to do here, hopefully, and what is the evil, in my opinion? Well, the evil is the monetary system, I would say, the Keynesian philosophy, the WHO, the World Economic Forum, what else? The UN. Most things that people think are helping them and are good for them are actually the opposite. And that's why I'm a contrarian as well, right? The other evil is big government, because the bigger government gets, the less free people are. But unfortunately, most people buy into this Keynesian thing that the government is there to help them. So that's the that's what we should try to do here. So let's look at some of the questions. Dilwyn Roberts, buy Bitcoin when it hits 20 pence. I remember buying Bitcoin at 80 pounds back in 2013. I traded Bitcoin back then. Yeah, I remember Bitcoin at 80 pounds. Billy is sleeping. Yeah. St. Louis 9 says my Latin's fairly good. Hence, *1 Mario, is the pound actually stronger than the dollar in purchasing power, even though it's going down? No, well, I would say prices, different prices have gone up differently here. And I think prices are going up, but I hear some prices in the States, and it depends, and they seem quite high. And here they're still controlled, but the pound, if you go back to 2007, 1 pound bought $2.11. That was like the high back then, and now we're down to like 122. So the pound is losing more purchasing power than the dollar, that's for sure. Akbay Guyon, money is not the root of all evil, it's greed. I agree, and the way you use money as well. If you use money to do things that are not right, but money is actually a very good tool, I would say. It's like a utility. It's a tool that helps humans exchange and thrive. It helps humans, how can I say, specialize in what they're good at. It facilitates exchange of wealth. It's like barter. It helps barter become easier, but it should also be a store of that value. So let's say you create some kind of value and someone buys that value from you with money, and then you have some and you can store it. You take that money, you can store your value if you don't want to spend your value. But when the money is bad and you can't store your value, then things unravel. And I think that's where we are. Billy night gardening. Well, and Billy, yeah, he sleeps a lot. He's almost 14. I do take him out a lot. So, and unfortunately, he's lost his vision. So it's really tough for him now to go anywhere unless I help him. John Knox, yeah, wheat is at a very high level. So is natural gas. Yeah, I still believe, unfortunately, unfortunately for those who think that prices are going to go down, maybe prices of the NASDAQ and houses and cars and things that are really not basic necessities, they're going to go down. But everything that we need to live on is going to keep going up. And that's going to surprise everyone, I think. We've had, the balances are going to, the scales are going to rebalance, because we've had 40 years of, well, actually in 1980 everything rebalanced. I would say we're Dow gold ratio is 1-to-1, but for 40 years, we've gone, paper, everything has become too financialized. Commodities are not as important, and now it's going to shift. And you'd think it go like this, but I think it's going to go things like go through the mean. And I think it's going to be quite a bull market in commodities, and it's just starting. We're not even near the highs of '08, and that's what people forget, the central bankers especially. Urban Sobrero, yeah, California government providing inflation relief with more subsidies. Yeah, they're crazy. You see, it's the Keynesian thing. I think it's 18 billion. I saw a headline here today in the newspaper that the chancellor of the exchequer, who's like in charge of the treasury, he said, "Oh, I will help people with the cost of living crisis." Well, that's just going to make things worse, because where does he get his money from? He gets it from taxing us and from borrowing it. He's going to make it worse. And that's why I really hope we get a currency collapse, because they won't be able to keep doing this anymore. And unfortunately, a lot of people out there, general public, they think they have, they're entitled to have the government help them. And those people are going to be really shocked, I think, when we see a currency collapse. Vasil Yordanov, any option that the U.S. will peg the U.S. dollar to silver, consider JP Morgan stacks so much silver. I think going back on a bimetallic or gold and silver standard could be a necessity, but they they won't do it unless they're in really big trouble. Who knows? It might happen. Chill, my father-in-law is buying a small piece of land off from me with gold bullion. I'm excited, the way it should be. Yeah, some people would call it barter, but it's actually it's not barter because gold is money. Spanish John, they will peg the dollar to a basket of U.S. assets. I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, the dollar should be money, not a debt instrument. You know, why do you think it's going to be better? You know, you're going from U.S. treasuries, which are U.S. assets, guaranteed by the government, and then you're going to go into other paper assets. I don't think that's the way to do it. Cupid stunt, why are you not promoting your mugs? They're still for sale on the Teespring store. Are they not showing up? They should be showing up. I'll have a look. I haven't had many people buy it. I'll have a look. Thank you. I haven't looked at it. Rick Todd, my wife is running for U.S. Congress. If you are an advisor, what advice would you give her in how to prepare our country for the upcoming crisis? Yeah, that's a tough one. It's not going to be pretty. Just tell the people the truth, you know, that you can't live off the government, because that's what I don't promise them anything. And they might think, oh, why not? Well, then, you know, tell them the story of Davy Crockett and the farmer Bunce. Yeah, Google Davy Crockett and farmer Bunce. You know, tell them that government is not there to give handouts, because it doesn't have any money. It's supposed to protect the rule of law, and that's it. Oh, you mean that? Yeah, no, I just picked this mug out. It's like chickens. That's why. Yeah, I don't know why. I just forgot. Oh, I wanted to ask you guys, and type 1 for yes and 2 for no. I was contacted by the people at YouTube. They call them partner managers, and you're supposed to get these people only when you have 100,000 subscribers. But they contacted me, and they're trying to help me improve the channel. And they spoke about channel memberships, and that would mean that you'd have to pay something a month to be a member of my channel. It wouldn't change anything. I'd still be doing live streams on my videos, but all it would do, if you were a member, I could do live streams just for the members, so we can have a more private talk. I'm not sure if it's a good idea. So if you think that's a good idea, say yes, say number 1. And if you think it's a bad idea, 2. So, well, there you go. That's what I thought. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. There you go, 2. Well, that's the best way to find out. That's right. Oh, some people have said 1, but it's mostly 2. I did, though. I didn't know about this. There's like a echo. The channel wouldn't change at all, but the live stream in the membership, if I did a live stream just for the members, it wouldn't have adverts. But no, I think it's a no. Yeah. No is 1 and 2. Anyway, the other thing they made me aware of is a function called super thanks, and I've activated that. I think that's okay. It's a way of you thanking me. If you think I'm doing a good job, you can give me whatever you want monetarily. It's below, it's near the subscribe button um, on the channel. But I've got the idea. I didn't really want to. Yeah, that's right, Jim Watari. They pay a monthly fee. I already have Patreon, and my Patreons, they get to talk to me more privately. They can send me messages. So I'm going to stick to that. I had a few other things here. Let's have a look. Where is it? Oh, this is what I tweeted out today. I guess it's controversial, but I think it's the truth. So the neocons have Biden by the balls. You can read it here, blackmail or whatever. And that is why the world is going to hell in a handbasket. So hashtag Ukraine war, China, Taiwan, NATO. And then I put the video. This is a really interesting video. You guys should Google General Wesley Clark, 7 countries in 5 years. He's talking about the neocons, and they're back in charge of the State Department. I think Gonzalo Lira covered that. He's speaking about what's her name, Victoria Nuland, and her husband Robert Kagan. They're like neocons, and they're in charge, and they're going after Russia. They want regime change in Russia, and I think they're crazy enough that they want regime change in China as well. Alan Zilberman says, send gifts to Mario Ineko, CEO, Gold Investments, London. Yeah, if you want to send me anything. And Gold Investments, you can find their details in the description of all my videos. Quite a few people have sent me. Alan has sent me stuff through Gold Investments. Yeah, P.O. Box, it's not worth it here. It's really expensive to have a P.O. Box in the UK. So it's easier for you to, send it to Gold Investments. Oh yeah, Sri Lanka, that's an interesting development there. People are waking up to corruption. I listened to a YouTube video. I think it was, my glasses are fogging up. It's getting a bit warmer. I think it was Patrick Vieira, Silver Bullion TV. He interviewed someone from Sri Lanka, and he said that this has been brewing for decades. There's a lot of corruption there, and now with food prices up, I saw they're burning politicians' houses. They're beating up police. They're really losing control of that country, and that could spread. Rusty Benthammer, do you think gold and silver will explode out of this next dip like 2008? Yes, I do. I think, yeah, I think what's happening now in the paper markets is that a lot of the algos, hedge funds, people who trade paper, and they look at inflation, the break-even inflation expectation, and they're saying that, real rates now are positive, which is really not true. And that's why they've sold gold and silver. But if you look at CPI, it's 8.3 and the 10-year is like 2.8. So you're still getting 5.5% negative real yield. And that's really bullish for precious metals. So I don't know if we have a bottom right now, but I think it's like 2008. And yeah, we could go a bit further down, but it's not going to last forever. It's kind of frustrating. And I was talking about this beginning of the live stream, um, that even for me sometimes, you start doubting things, but then you start thinking about the alternatives and what you've learned about history, what happens to fiat currencies, and it's just not the right thing to do unless you leverage and you buy too much gold and silver, and you haven't left yourself any cushion, and then you get an emergency and you have to sell it. But yeah, that's why I tell people never to borrow to buy gold and silver. When Echo 60, chill, the wealthy and elite politicians are aligning everything up so they retain power during a great reset. William Blair says, super thanks is a good idea for us to show gratitude as the real free market people. Yeah, I mean, Google does get something out of that. They get 30%, but the advertisement revenue, I think they get 45%. And what can you do? I mean, if it wasn't for YouTube, we wouldn't be talking. So that's the way it is. Car wash, why the physical gold in the Brazilian commodities exchange is unknown. Yeah, and I've known about this exchange in Brazil. It's just not really used that much, but maybe one day it will grow. They do other commodities like coffee and I think orange juice. And I'm not sure if it's priced, it's probably priced in dollars. I'm not sure. Silver Wolf, I'm very underwhelmed by gold and silver, but what choice do we have? They're controlled, so not much of a safe haven. Well, they are right now. They're being controlled, but I don't think they can control it forever. Yeah, free markets always win in the end. They controlled it back in the 60s overtly with the London gold pool, and that didn't succeed. The thing to do is like to buy physical. Unfortunately, a lot of the traders and hedge funds and all these kinds of people, they play around in the paper market. But the only way to really end this is to keep buying physical, and they're going to run out, or they're going to be close to running out of it, because governments, they only hold 17% of all gold that's ever been mined. That's not a big percentage, but they work together. So it's like a cartel. They go on about OPEC being an oil cartel, but there's a gold cartel, precious metals cartel, at the Bank of England, the US Fed, the BIS, all the major central banks. And yeah, they're far worse than OPEC, I would say, because gold and silver are money, and it's the lifeblood of the economy. So there you go. Matt Bittner says YouTube ads are a good opportunity for an intermission. Yeah, I mean, I watch YouTube videos mostly, and sometimes I skip the adverts. Sometimes I have to go to the toilet or something. I just get up and let the advert run, and then come back. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Over here, how are the citizens of El Salvador dealing with the Bitcoin downturn? I don't know. I haven't followed El Salvador. Oh yeah, good thing you you mentioned Bitcoin. I saw some comments that about 1.7, or it could be less, it could be 1.3 trillion has been erased from the cryptocurrency market. And apparently that's more than, the losses from the subprime crisis in 07, 08. So actually, Bitcoin and cryptos are becoming a problem for the general markets. And I think that's something that we need to keep an eye on. And the most important crypto, in my opinion, right now is Tether. And Tether is supposed to trade at one all the time, at $1. I think last week it traded down to like 96, 97 cents, maybe less. And if it breaks the buck, all hell could break loose in the crypto space, because Tether's is supposedly one-to-one backed to the dollar, but it isn't. And people use Tether to leverage and buy Bitcoin. So it's like the crypto currency's Federal Reserve. So keep an eye on Tether. Ukbay, how do you store your coins? Well, I'm not going to talk about how I do that for obvious reasons, but use your imagination, really, I would say. Joker Alpha, seeing places where retail is not dealing in cash. Government, yeah, I've seen that here in the UK as well. It's still quite rare, but there are some retailers who won't accept cash. I try to avoid them. Matt Bittner, how much do houses go for in your area? If you had to buy a home all over again, what would it cost? Well, it depends, how big the house is. I think the average house price in London, Greater London, is £500,000, the average house price. But in the UK, the average house price nationally is about £270,000. Let me see. I've got some more stuff here. Let's have a look. Let's close this and this. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Glint. Some of you might not know about Glint. Most of you do know about Glint. I got a message from the CEO, Jason Cousins. He asked me to let the viewers know that he's going to be on Newsmax with Bob Sellers. You can watch me talking with legendary anchor Bob Sellers about gold and GlintPay on Newsmax, Monday, the 16th of May at 2:30. I think it's 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So there you go, Glint. If any of you are interested, the Glint app allows you to buy gold. It's stored in Switzerland, and they provide you with a MasterCard, so you can actually spend your gold if you want. Some people like that. I prefer physical, but I do have an association with Glint. If you're interested, there's more information below in the description of how to go about getting the Glint app. Yeah, Echo says gold is still, well, gold in pounds is up 9.3% since the end of last year. So yeah, and the pound is down 9.3% versus the dollar. I did a video yesterday and I talked about that, and I was surprised that the pound has dropped the exact percentage versus the dollar and gold. And that's from the close on December 21st to the close on Friday. Rubber check, BlackRock buying property in Great Britain. Yeah, BlackRock are in the UK. I'm sure they do buy property here too. Buffalo, New York, burning to the ground isn't priced into the markets. Dividend paying stocks are good, Mike Jeffries, I think. They call the defensive stocks like utilities or even food stocks, like companies that are into food, companies that, don't go up too much in the bull market and don't go down too much in the bear market. Yeah, dividends are good, I think. It's income. And I would say the best thing with dividends is to reinvest them in that same company, unless, of course, you need the income. Sarah, thank you for your super chat. Why won't the US and EU government make owning physical precious metals illegal for private citizens? Thank you. Well, the US, I would say there's not enough people that own physical precious metals. So I don't, I've been talking about for the last few years or for a long time that when they manage or manipulate the markets like they have recently, it puts loads of people off from buying gold and silver because they think it's no good. And the same thing goes for people in Europe. And that's why they don't have to make it illegal, because very few people will there are a lot of people like us who own, but we're a tiny minority. So if gold and silver traded in a straight line to, and they allowed it to trade freely, then maybe yes. But anything is possible if they get desperate. But they could confiscate anything else either. It's not a reason not to have gold and silver, because they could confiscate, in France, they had under the previous president, they had a tax for the very wealthy, like a real estate tax or wealth tax. So it's not a reason not to have it, I would say. Hope that helps. Mary, I read that interest rates in Weimar Republic was around 120% per annum. How do banks function at commercial level? Well, again, that 120% rate was probably inflationary. And you might think, how can that be? Well, if inflation is running at 1,000%, yeah. So I think banks had a tough time during the Weimar Republic. So everyone had a tough time. I think people who were involved in producing real things did well. Farmers were, there's a lot of animosity against farmers because they had real food, real things. Matt Bittner, I have looked at Petrobras stock. Yeah, look, dividend is high. It's highly political though, and I think there are elections in Brazil this year, so it might be worth a punt. There's some other ones like Vale has a good dividend as well. Oh, you're welcome, Sarah. No, I agree with you. Money is stored energy. Yeah, energy and productivity and your wealth. And if it's no good, if you store your efforts and then you want to go next year and cash it in and it's worthless, you get angry. and that's why the people in Sri Lanka are getting angry, because they thought they had real money, but they don't. They've got fiat currency. And it's going to happen everywhere, I'm afraid, even here and in the US and in Europe. But people never learn, unfortunately. Matt Bittner talking about this shooting. Yeah, I haven't really looked too much into that. I just saw the headline. Um, Apparently, he was live streaming. um, it's crazy. Yeah, Boone MSGT. That was Ram Emanuel, wasn't it? Who said that? So I've got a few other things here to share. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, this is what I'm concerned about. Uh, Not that I'm scared or anything, but this is something we need to know that could happen. You see, U.S. State Department edges towards Taiwan recognition, and that's a real like red flag for the Chinese. And I'm not defending the Chinese. I'm just telling you what could happen. So this is what I said. The neocons are driving the world into a major conflict that will soon involve China, according to the two Alexes from the Duran. Yeah, this is from the Duran. Uh, it's a good YouTube channel. They talk a lot about geopolitics. And yeah, if China, if the West punishes China with sanctions, it's going to make the situation that we've had relative to Russia seem like a picnic in the park, so to speak. Okay. Oh yeah, normal norm. I'm glad you mentioned that. BlackRock is backing out of the greeny clean energy. Yeah, I know. I saw that. It's all this ESG, which is environment, society, and governance. Yeah, uh, I think, and that's a good thing. They've realized they've gone too fast, or they shouldn't really be going that way. Yeah. Butch Edwards, Saudi League, Norman. Yeah, Greg Norman has really shot himself in the foot. Uh, uh, yeah, I saw that Wayne Grady was very critical of him, but most people don't know what I'm talking about here. Um, Greg, I don't know. Greg Norman is, yeah, I think his ego is a bit big, So there you go. I don't think it's gonna. This Saudi Golf League is not gonna catch on. Joker Alpha, with so much US dollar fiat in the system, it would be difficult for the masses to lose faith, especially with government controlling the method of exchange. Well, I would say that that would be even more reason to lose faith when there's trillions and quadrillions of the thing out there. It's going to make it even easier for people to lose faith. That's what inflation is all about. And I don't think they can control the exchange for much longer. Sometimes we give them too much credit. I don't think they will be successful. JSB, will Elon go forward with the purchase? I guess you're talking about Twitter. I don't really know what the story there is. I know he put it on hold. I don't think it's a very relevant thing. It's a bit of a distraction, to be honest. Mickey, yeah, hundreds of ships stuck in China, yeah. And I think there's an article here that, I mean, if you look at just scroll through Zero Hedge, I think. Where is it? Well, let's see. White House admits it lied about vaccines. Sweden. But I saw an article, yeah, that things are getting worse in terms of disruption in China. Let's have a look. Or maybe not. Let's see. Is it the next? No, but I think definitely things are not normal. They're pushing this Taiwan thing. Oh, here. Oh, I found it. Hold on. It was in another paper. Here we go. Yeah, Financial Times. Shanghai lockdown exposes the global supply chain strain. So yeah, all the ships there. I guess that's what it means. They're all, everything is. I think the COVID lockdown started all the troubles, and they haven't been able to fix it. And China now has this zero COVID policy that's not helping. What's the latest of Evergrande? I haven't really heard much about it, but I would say that's why the Chinese economy is slowing down so sharply. A lot of it is to do with the real estate market, so it has had an impact. I think the Chinese purchasing managers index is dropping very sharply as well. Graham Hobbs, rare that I don't agree with you wholeheartedly, but Elon is a big deal. He's put the manager. Yeah, no, I know what you mean, but I think there are more important things to worry about, like hyperinflation, than Twitter. I know I like Twitter, because it's a way of me finding out what's going on without watching the mainstream media, and I also put across my ideas there. So there you go. It's just not something that I'm really too concerned about, Graham. Not, but I agree with you. It could be important. Dissident agnostic, thank you for your super chat. Do you think the Swiss government would ever consent to the UK government seizing assets vaulted on the Glint network? Well, I just heard that the Swiss government decided to unfreeze Russian oligarchs' assets because they thought they didn't really have a reason to do it. So I think that should, show you how the Swiss are, and anything is possible. But they've decided to unfreeze the Russian assets. So I think. Yeah, I don't think the Swiss would be rushing to do what the UK government would tell them to do. That's the way I see it. Matt Bittner, do you expect this coming winter to be like in Europe? Talking about people being able to afford heat, and then, well, I think it's going to be worse. It's really going to be worse than this past winter. And why is that? Well, because I think oil prices are going to keep going up, natural gas prices will keep going up, and the fact that Sweden and Finland are becoming members of NATO, it's going to, how can I say, make the relationship with Russia even worse. But I saw that in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, the biggest lender or state in Germany, they voted against, I think, the government, the Olaf Scholz's party, or something to that effect, because they're annoyed, that they blocked energy from Russia, and yeah, and that the Germans sold arms to Ukraine. So maybe it will change, but as of now, I think the winter, and it will depend as well how cold the winter is, how severe it is, but I don't think it's looking great. Echo, thank you for your super chat. He says, I enjoyed the house prices and gold video. Party is over for house prices. I think it showed how strong gold is as a store of value. Yeah, I agree. The other thing about house prices in the UK, I'm not sure how much they've gone up this year so far, but the pound has gone down versus gold and the dollar by 9.3%. So even if house prices have gone up 3 or 4%, you're actually losing real value there. So we could still see house prices go up, but you could see the pound go down even more. So is that really a good store of wealth? I think houses are more to live in. Yeah, I didn't buy my house to as a trade, even though some people do it as a business. Jim Millward, here in Plymouth, the local food bank controller said people are rejecting food parcels because they can't afford to heat or cook their food with energy costs. I mean, that's, yeah. I went to a shopping center a few weeks ago, and they even have like a place where you can swipe your debit card to give to food banks. I'd never seen that before. Yeah, John Knox. I saw the story that Turkey is not happy about these two countries joining. We'll have to see. maybe maybe the Americans will help them and buy the Turkish lira to keep it, under control, because you need a unanimous vote in NATO to accept new countries. I don't think it will be a problem. I think the Turks are just trying to get, Erdogan is just trying it on. JSB, I agree with you. The neocons are in charge of the State Department in the US. And I'm apolitical, but I think if the other guy wasn't still in power, the neocons wouldn't have a chance. Got 3 minutes to go. Yeah, St. Louis, everything's Russia's fault, right? Pretty soon it's going to be China's fault too, I think. David Bradley, $1 million question. When will the silver paper manipulation chase end? When it can't go on anymore. That's my answer to you. Spanish John, yes. I mean, that guy. Even though I didn't really like some of the people he had, like what's his name? Pompeo. Mike Pompeo is a neocon. And also John Bolton was a neocon. I know he got rid of him. So I think he was trying to keep his, I don't know what was going on there. Lily Robin, yeah, the Russian people are not to blame. I saw a ridiculous story headline in the paper that the Harrods is banning Russian people from shopping there, or they're banning them from spending more than 300 pounds. It's ridiculous. The world's gone mad. BP, Mara, seeing what happened in Sri Lanka, why are politicians doubling down when they know what's going to happen to them? Well, because I think the people in the West, the politicians in the West and in the US, they're so arrogant. They have so much hubris that they think we're special, that we can do everything without consequences, and they can't think that what happened in Sri Lanka would happen here. And that's the same thing they thought in Germany in the 1920s. You know, I know it was after the war, but no one thought that hyperinflationary collapse would happen there, and it did. Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Ashford, about food being an issue. There's a lot of talk about that. Jim Millward says Harris will be forced to accept the ruble one day. Yeah, that would be a good one. So, oh, Echo, Echo, better luck on the golf course this week. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mean, that's how golf is. It's like up and down. I mean, the pros, they have ups and downs, but their downs are not as bad as amateurs. So there you go. Okay, everyone. I wish you all a great rest of the weekend and a great beginning to the next week as well. And if any of you are new here to the channel, consider subscribing. And I make a video every day, and this live stream is every Sunday at 9 p.m. London. What will finish the gold manipulation? Well, when they start running out of physical, and when other central banks start buying a lot, when very wealthy individuals take delivery, that's what will end the manipulation. And I think eventually the banks, the bullion banks, will go long as well, and they will need to actually go long gold. So there you go. Take care, everyone.